Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Adventures in Truth livecast. My name is Jim Kaysen. I am your host of the show today, and I am super excited to have Deb and Zanda from New Zealand joining me today to have a powerful conversation about taking a leap of faith. They've taken an extraordinary leap, and it seemed to be a great topic for the show to really get into what is this thing? What is this leap of faith thing, and how does it work? And what's the trust and faith that's required to really be able to take a successful leap of faith, and how does that all come together? So we're going to have a great conversation with them coming up shortly. You'll get to meet them. Deb has been on the show before. She has been integral in the evolution of the pyramid of wellness that I've been developing. And so now she and her husband are joining me from their boat. So this is going to be a great conversation. But first, let's talk about my book, because it's that time. We are, the second week in. I can't even begin to tell you how incredible, overwhelming, extraordinary, just amazing the process has been. Having never been here before, I've really trying to really stay with both eyes open and very conscious and very aware and very involved in communicating and connecting and talking about the book. And it's been really remarkable, the feedback that I'm getting, the reviews that are showing up. The book is showing up the way I had hoped it would. And that's really, really, really satisfying and really amazing feeling. But Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love, is all about understanding the evolution of fear in your experience. And beyond that, being able to shift from a fear-based experience to an opportunity-based experience. When we're in that fear-based experience, we limit our viewpoint, we limit our potential, and we limit the opportunities available to us. Because in a fear-based experience, our perception really exists in a very small sphere of view. So you kind of have to constantly looking and scanning and trying to find what belongs to you. But when you exist in a state of opportunity, suddenly now all of the potential that's available to you is available to you. All of the possibilities that are there for you. And because you're not in fear, you're not in resistance. And when you're not in resistance, all those opportunities, all the ability for God or the universe or whatever it is you call it to help the co-creation process, to help you really get to the places you want to go in feeling and thought and desire. So Fear is a Choice is really about how to unravel that, and takes you on a journey to help you understand how it's brought into the system, how it's learned. And that's an important piece. And because it's learned, it's a choice. And showing you how to evolve that yourself, so that you can begin to disconnect from those underpinnings in the mass consciousness and free yourself from that experience and become that opportunity-based person who is open to all the potential that is available to you. And that's when life really kicks into high gear. And that's going to be part of the fun of our conversation today as well. But got to put my glasses on. www.adventuresintruth.com is where you can order on Amazon, you can order on Barnes & Noble, you can order on IndieBound. It's also available as Kindle. So please avail yourself to that. And let's get at it. We're going to take a quick break here. And when we come back, Deb and Zanda will be joining us. So bear with us. We'll be right back. Woohoo! Hi, Deb. Hi, Zanda. How are you guys?
All right.
So
Good,
good
thanks,
to
Jim.
see you. Happy Saturday to you all over there in New Zealand.
Yes,
We're
thank you.
winding down to oh man, I'm so off my game today, guys. I didn't change my backdrop so I could get back to the show. That was my party scene. This is my not party scene. I mean, it's a
Can you
different
change our backdrop?
Actually, funny enough, you say that you can.
Oh,
You can
really?
actually upload a green screen if you have one.
Oh, that's
Oh,
a good.
yes.
This is our playground here.
I love your background. I think that's everything. It's great. So welcome to the show today. We are going to be diving into taking a leap of faith, and I think we all agree that that is a precipitous time in our experience. And I want to take a little time here from your perspective, from my perspective. Let's just talk about what that means to you. What is it that happened for you? And we're going to get into story here and into your story. But as far as the technical end of what does it mean to you to take a leap of faith? How did that show up for you?
Crikey. Well, yeah, I mean, for us, it was asking ourselves, it was waking up to the realization sort of mid last year that we had this dream, this sort of 10-year dream, if you like, to sail around the world. And we realized we were 5 years into it and we weren't any closer, and we hadn't taken any steps towards getting any closer. We didn't have a boat.
So this wasn't about doing cruise ships. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was this very real confrontational realization that this was never going to happen unless we made it happen, and how badly did we want it to happen. And we both couldn't move past the fact that we really wanted that to happen. So I guess that was the faith. So then it was really about, well, what's stopping us from progressing? And I think a big thing for me was I'd always had it in my head that I wanted to hold on to that property, so it was never an option to not have the property and have a boat. But, for us, that was quite a big step to actually let go in order to allow something else to come in. Yeah.
To me, sorry, Jim.
No, you're
the
good.
other important aspect to a leap of faith is something that drives you to take that leap. So the leap is one thing, right? And knowing in which direction you want to leap, but there's there's something that's driving you to take that leap. And so for us, it was we needed to get closer to that dream, closer to those goals, and we needed to do something to do that. And that meant stepping off the edge, making a choice, and doing something.
I think it's fair to say that there was a fair amount of, we could feel a kind of a heartache if we didn't do this. So there was this real inner pull. Yeah.
I was thinking, I shared a little bit with you guys, but I was thinking a little before, as I was putting the show together, I was reflecting on my own experience, and I had hoped to have you guys spend a little time in advance on this, and I just didn't get to do that. And that was thinking about, were there any other junctures prior to this where you took a leap of faith? And I found, for myself, like 5 places in my life that started when I was 16 years old was the first one. And then there was another one at my 20s. There was another one in my 30s. And there was, it was like, but the thing that I found about it that was so profound to me was, it was like, the image in my head is like the road I had chosen, the story I was telling about my life came to a place where it wasn't satisfying. I wasn't sure why I was still telling that story. And the thing that was in my wheel and my desire, I wasn't really clear about either, but it wasn't this. It wasn't the thing that I was doing. And then in understanding that, I kind of went, oh, I have to literally walk away from this. If I don't want this anymore, I literally have to turn my back and go in a direction I've never been in before. And that's where the trust, that to me is where the faith and trust came in huge, because even at 16, I remember I was standing outside of my parents' house at 1:30 in the morning, having snuck out of the house to go carouse with my friends. And my mother had discovered it. And this wasn't the first time this happened, but she discovered it and decided to lock all the screen doors so that I would have to knock to get back in the house. And I remember clearly standing there at 1:30 in the morning, and I wasn't drunk, I wasn't crazy, I was just standing there going, am I going to knock on this door? Am I going to walk away? And I walked away. And my parents lived, at that time we lived on a street with 13 houses in the middle of farmland. It was a 5-mile walk to get to the nearest town. And so 1:30 in the morning, there I am traipsing down the street, and I never went back. I never went back home. I mean, the relationships were all fine in the end, but I never went back to that environment as a place to live, which was my first leap.
Yeah.
But boy, what an adventure. But what are your thoughts about that? What do you think about that assessment of the idea of it?
I completely agree. I can think of a number of times in my life where at the time you don't think of it as a leap of faith, but actually that's what it was. Is you get to a point, you go, I love your definition of, I don't know what it is, but I'm not enjoying where I am right now. Yeah. And for me, similarly, I might have been 16, 17, and I made a choice to leave, arguably one of the best schools in New Zealand, because it wasn't filling my cup. And I changed schools, and that it was my decision to do that, and it really was into the unknown, because but looking back, I'm so happy that I did. Yeah. And several other points in my life where I've come to force myself into crossroad positions, and then picked apart, and hindsight, that was such a good decision.
Yeah, it was a huge decision.
Yeah, there's been several for me as well. A key one for me was when I was in my early 20s and sold my motorbike, which was my pride and joy and my only possession really, and got a one-way ticket to the UK. And I just got on a plane and left. Wow. And I didn't come back for 10 years. So that was a pretty massive leap of faith, but I just knew that I wasn't happy staying. And I didn't have a plan. Did not have a plan at all. I had relatives there though, so I knew I had that, but that was it.
Well, that seems to be an element of a leap of faith. Is there's no plan. It's not, you can't plan a leap of faith. But on that note, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to do a little bit of meditation. I want to get everybody focused, and we're going to bring us all into the same zone here. So as we dive into this and you guys start sharing your story, that everybody can be fully online with us and taking in all of the cool things that we're going to be sharing about this, particularly about talking about faith and trust. So I will be back with you guys in just a few, and we're going to go grab on our meditation. Be right back. All right, gang. So I find it's important every show to bring everybody together energetically so that we're all sort of focused in the same direction. And that really is about just being present in this moment, being able to, as I do these shows, and as I've shared earlier, we did developing the pyramid of wellness, recognizing that we have to have a foundation for the transformation to be successful, for us to have a solid foundation of transformation to stand on. And part of that is being able to manage your breath. Part of that is being able to consciously bring yourself present to this moment so that you're fully aware of what's available to you right now. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to start with bringing your awareness into your body, and then we're going to go into a breathing process where we're going to inhale to a count of 4. We'll hold for a moment at the top. We'll exhale to a count of 6, and then we'll release it at the bottom. We'll go through that a few times together, and then we will wrap it up and dive back into our conversation. So what I want you to do now is, if you can, just get comfortable wherever you are. Wherever you are, let your eyes just rest. Close your eyes is best. I want you to bring all of the awareness, all of your awareness. I want you to pull it into your body. I want you to bring all of your awareness that you can wrap your lasso around and bring it into the inside of your body. Inside, right now, focusing in the chest and the heart space. Just become aware of how your body feels on the inside. Let the awareness dissipate from the outside. Let anything that's out there go, barking dogs, people talking, music, sound, cars, let it all just be there, and bring all of the awareness back into you. And as you're in that space of awareness, become aware of how your body feels on the inside. Let your awareness travel through your body. Start at the top of your head. Fill your head with your awareness and feel what that feels like. Feel it in through the neck and the shoulders, and feel what it feels like on the inside. Is there a little tension in the shoulders and the neck, or does it feel pretty loose? Just let yourself get comfortable with observing what's happening. You don't have to do anything. If you find a spot that feels uncomfortable, simply focus your breath into that spot for just a moment while you're continuing in this process. Let it come down through the torso and into the abdomen, and feel into those organs, feel into all of those parts of you. As it goes down through the hips, through the thighs and the knees and the legs. How do your knees feel? How do your hips feel? How do your feet feel? How does your lower arm feel? Just be aware, that's all. No assessment, no judgment, just awareness. And as you allow that awareness to coalesce, bring it back into the chest, bring it back up to the top, and focus intently on your breathing. How do you breathe? Just notice what your breath is like. Is it in the front? Is it in the back? Does it go down or does it stay up top? How does your breath unfold in your body? What does it feel like? And as we manage the breath, you become more and more conscious of how the breath moves through your body. Breath is so important. Breath is life force. Breath is chi and prana. Breath is the thing that animates us. So focusing on that breath and being able to manage the breath is a very powerful tool for quieting the mind. Because you begin to enroll the mind in the process of your consciousness. And that's what breath helps you do, to become more conscious. So bringing all that awareness, now that you've experienced your breath, we're going to breathe in through the nose to a count of 4. You're going to fill completely. And as you reach that fullest place, you're going to rest in that and relax your body. And then you're going to exhale to a count of 6. And the reason we do that is I want to purge all of that old energy and air out of the lungs. Just pushing all of that deep stuff out so that when you take that next inhale, you're filling those spaces with fresh, vital energy. And then at the bottom, when you're completely vacant, when you're completely empty, you're going to rest in the emptiness for just a moment before you consciously engage your lungs and fill them completely again to a count of 4. Okay? So here we go. Bring all that awareness to the breath as we inhale. 2, 3, 4. You're at the top, you're full, you're relaxing into that fullness. And now you're purging from the mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Great job. Resting in the emptiness. And now engaging the lungs and the breathing. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. And you're at hold at the top, full. And then release from the mouth. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Resting in the empty. Engaging and inhaling. 2, 3, 4. Resting at the top. And releasing. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then rest in that void. Rest in that emptiness. And carry on that rhythm by yourself now. Just counting up to a pace of 4. Remembering to rest at the top. And then releasing from the mouth, purging all of that air in a very active fashion, getting that old stale energy and air out of the system. And letting that rest again as you empty, feeling the peace of the emptiness as you engage and continue. And as you do, I want you to take these words, just let them wash over you. Just let them be a part of your experience. I am the evolution of God realized as matter. I inform and guide that expression as the pure expression of God. I show up as God. I connect as God. I align as God. I am creation realized. And from that, I create, expand, and engage. I am. Good. And feel that breath just fill every part of your body. From that awareness that's on the inside, feel the breath, feel it move through the cells, feel it move through the nervous system. Just feel it infiltrate every aspect of your body. And as you complete the cycle of breath that you're in, Begin to allow your awareness to move back outside of you again, coming present, fully present in this moment, completely aware of what you're doing. Oh. And we're going to bring Deb and Zanda back in as we bring ourselves present in the moment to talk about faith and trust. And we're back. Hi, guys.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Jim. How did you find that?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Great.
It just helps to kind of bring us all right here. So we were talking before that. We were talking about reaching this point of recognizing the road we were on is not the road we want to continue to be on, and needing to take a step and moving in a direction that we have never been before. So the two things that I find are critical pretty much to consciousness in general, but to this specific purpose, is the faith and trust the ideas of faith and trust. And they can be related to a religious construct or not. In my desire to talk about it has nothing to do with the religious context, but it's just as viable. It's just more defining the terms of faith and trust so that we understand what it is that propels us, what it is that when we reach that, Deb was talking about, I bought a ticket and got on a plane. What is it that allows us to suddenly say, wait, this is not my path. I have to take a different path. And being willing to have the courage to step into that. To me, that is faith and trust in self, in who I am, regardless, even at 16 years old. I didn't want to deal with whatever was going to happen in the house, but walking away from it was a much greater decision to me than staying there and answering for having snuck out of the house, which I'm sure for both of you, Deb, when you went to board the plane, was a much bigger decision than than staying. And so I want to kind of get into a little bit of definition of faith and trust as you understand it. And for me, I think it starts in trust, in that idea that I know there's more to me than what I may see here in the physical. And that feeling has always kind of been with me. So there was a part of me that kind of went, I think I'll be okay. I don't know what I'm doing, but I know what I want to do. And what I want to do isn't right here. So I guess I got to go some other place. So I can get me there. I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how it's going to feel, but I'm willing to navigate it. And I have the faith that I have the skill, that I have the support, that I have whatever it is, real or imagined, that's going to help me navigate this new path. That's kind of how I see it. I'd love to hear what you guys think. What are your thoughts about faith and trust in that regard?
Yeah, well, what's coming through for me a lot, and is definitely been a part of our journey, is that I have faith that there is something better than the pain I'm currently enduring. And I think many people actually endure some form of pain or discomfort that just becomes normalized for them. And I think as soon as you can remove yourself from that, even temporarily, it opens you up to the possibility of what could be if you chose to leave that behind. So with our particular journey, for me, for us, I think it began way back at the beginning of 2019 when we took a trip to the UK, and we took Zanda's parents along with us, and we went for 6 weeks, and we travelled around in a camper van. And as anyone who's had a lovely decent holiday knows, you get, after a week or two, you get to that point where you're well and truly let go of all your old routines. You're really relaxed. You're really enjoying it. And we had just the most amazing time traveling around 4 countries in a small camper van with 5 of us. And we realized that living in a small space was actually fun and comfortable, and the simplicity of how life could be living small was so liberating. And all of us experienced that, and we had conversations about it. So for me, looking back, that was a removal of the pain of being in our everyday routine with all our stuff and the burdens of all our, of debt and things and jobs and responsibilities. And we were removed from that. So we had this opportunity to sort of breathe and be free and see possibilities for a life without that. So I do think that's got something to do with it. Then we came back really renewed and refreshed, but almost immediately reminded of our, of those sort of uncomfortable things, or that we had been, I guess, kind of, because our life wasn't bad, it was great, but we'd had this chance to remove ourselves from it. So I think there's got something to do with that, a removal from pain, or this what you've realized has been a discomfort that has just become a norm. Allows you then to have faith in the fact that, hey, I don't have to choose that, and I can change this, and I can change my state and enjoy life in a different way.
I want to emphasize, before you go on, Zanda, I want to emphasize something that you said, Deb, that I think is significant, and that is, in my experience, as I reflect across my experiences, what you said about there doesn't have to be anything wrong, meaning when I was leaving my parents' home, it wasn't because I was abused. It wasn't because I had a horrible home life. That's not a leap of faith. It can be a leap of faith, I guess, if you're separating from a violent situation. But in most cases, as I understand them, that's typically not the case. You're not necessarily confronting. You're not confronted with a trauma that forces you to go somewhere, which can happen. But it's important to recognize that a lot of times leap of faiths don't come with, oh, my life is horrible. It's just this is not fulfilling and satisfying anymore, and I built a story about this, and I don't have any other story, but I don't want to stay in this story anymore.
So you chose to step away from a restriction, which was your parents wanting you to justify your movements, and you're obviously, your pull towards freedom was so much stronger than staying in a restricted space.
Yeah, very good.
Something said before resonated with me, Jim, and it's about having, so that the trust that needs to come along with this, right? And to me, it's a trust in yourself that it will be okay. A trust in yourself that you have everything that you need, that you can deal with whatever gets thrown up, because it's the unknown and anything could happen. So, but if you have that belief and trust in yourself first, that you can deal with things, and this comes through experience of dealing with things, right? So I think as we mature and as we stumble and as we learn, we become more equipped to deal with the next thing that happens. And so I think that the point that we were at in our lives, the timing was right as well. So that we had the skills, we had the faith and belief in ourselves, that we could then just jump, and then there was another process around how do you jump, but I can talk about that later.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is a good juncture, I think. We've laid a good foundation about understanding. I mean, it's, as we talk, I realize it's not like 100% cut and dry, but it is pretty clear. And I think that there is a consistency in our experiences, even though we're worlds apart, that supports the sort of foundation of what it is to take a leap of faith. So I'd love to take the next segment here. We're going to take a very short break. And when we come back, then I'm going to turn the stage over to y'all so that you can share with us what's happened in your world, in this giant leap of faith you took, going to live on a boat and taking the family and doing all of that. So I'm excited to have that conversation, because I think it's going to be really cool. And I think it'll give a lot of people a lot of insight into how to understand how that leap evolves. So we're going to come right back right after this break, and I'll see you in a sec. All right, guys, we're back, and we're talking about a leap of faith, and Deb and Zanda are going to take the stage and share with us the experience of their leap of faith and what it has shown them, and how they've evolved as a result. I'm excited to hear your story and hear how that's all come together for you.
Thanks, Jim. So
ready, go.
We're very quickly working out how we're going to do this. And so we touched earlier on the fact that we had this dream and we had this goal, and I guess we were sort of clear on what that goal was, but what really helped us get crystal clear on that is an exercise Debbie went through in a vision board. She created this vision board. Maybe you can describe how you did that, because
it's just,
I didn't know what it was, and then all of a sudden this thing created. I go, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, well, so we came back from this trip to the UK all inspired, right, and thinking about our dream. And that's when we kind of realised, hey, we're really no closer to achieving what we want to achieve. What is it we want to achieve? Well, we want to sail around the world. What sort of boat do we want? Like, let's get visual with it. Let's get specific and detailed. Vision boarding is an exercise that I've learned over the years, and it's a very powerful one. So I just, literally ripped out pictures of beautiful yacht and different exotic overseas locations and words that inspired me, and put it all in this lovely big sort of A1 sized or A2 sized sheet, and had it up on our walls so we see it every day, and just remind ourselves that was what we were aiming for. And it has all the feel goods, just the feelings and imagery and words that express how we wanted to be feeling and experiencing. Yeah.
So I talked before about having a driver, something that makes you take that leap, and so seeing that vision and that picture being painted, of a future that we both liked the look of. Then you wind back and you go, well, actually, where we're at right now is starting to feel
really far away from that.
Yeah. And I love the expression of Pink Floyd, comfortably numb. And this was a 10-year goal, and we woke up 5 years into it, and we'd just been comfortably numb for 5 years. Still had the same goal, but we're no closer to it. And so I guess the first leap of faith was, well, let's do something about this. So in addition to having a vision board, there's like an anti-vision board, right there, which is the future that you will have if you do nothing. If you make no leaps of faith, then you're gonna, numbly trudge towards a future that you're going to end up in. And unfortunately, it's all too common. You see it all around you. People that do that, and it's a real shame. So we then made some choices, took some leaps of faith towards our goal.
Did you find that there was a specific moment in it that you both came together at the same time? Did you get there at different times? Yep. What was it seems to me there has to be like a central kind of, this is it, we're moving this direction. Did that happen?
Yeah, look, it's funny. And I there's one I specifically remember, and I had this call it an aha moment, or it could also be an oh shit moment. I've been listening. So things have been brewing in the background, right? The things that were brewing in the world, and we were unsure about what was happening. But then I had there was a presentation that I had at work, and it was a guy, a comedian in New Zealand, turned an advocate for mental health, and he was talking about the pressure and the stress that we put it on ourselves to upgrade our lives. Get a good job, earn more money, get a bigger house, pay that down a little bit, borrow some more on the mortgage, get a bigger car. And I go, it wasn't, I'm looking at that picture, it wasn't making me happy. It was going, that's not the future I want. And at some point, I think I came home from that trip, and I said to Debs, I think we should sell the house and buy a boat. And Debs goes, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So it was like, what did we just agree to? And and I think that was the single moment, and then a whole lot had to follow, of course. But to me, that was the single moment where we sort of came together on that's what we need to do.
Yeah, and I suppose also building up to that, we'd been had been watching documentaries and becoming a lot more aware of the global economy, and the fact that we both felt there was a recession brewing, or something was going to pop towards the end of the year, or early 2020. Wow, I didn't realize it was going to be quite that kind of a pop. But hey, but that was quite strong and overwhelming for us as well. And I'd been also doing a lot of decluttering around the house. So another frustration for me coming back from that trip was, all that stuff's still here and it makes me feel heavy and it makes me feel burdened. And I was trying to unload some of that. But there was something else that you said when you were.
Well, let me direct this a second, because I want to. It reminded me before we moved to Colorado 2 years ago. I had a similar. I came home and said to Michael, "Listen, we're going to move, and we're moving to Colorado." And this was all part of meditative process. Part of I was done. I knew I was done in San Diego, but I didn't know what to do next. So I want to understand, and I want you to share what happened for you, Deb, because for me there was a clarity that nothing could change. It was, I'm moving, we're moving. And actually, Michael and I have ended the conversation where I said, I don't mean anything by this, but I know so clearly that this is where I need to be, that if you choose not to go, I'm going anyway. Understand, this is all me, and I understand this is a big deal. I understand you've lived in San Diego your whole life. I get it. I do, but I can't be here anymore. And how do we do that from here? And he said, well, how long do I have? And I said, 3 months. And he said, not 6? I said, no, not 6, 3 months. 3 months.
I love that.
So I would love to hear how you guys navigated that, because it's a big deal when one gets it and the other is coming on after the fact. It's a big deal.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I think we were coming onto the fact at the same sort of pace, but in different ways. So again, back to your original question earlier, the big driver for me was moving away from pain. Now, I've hung on steadfast for a great majority of my life onto the idea of I must have property. I must have something, a foothold in the market. And for many years, I was, when we bought that house, we bought it with the intention of that we were going to keep that in the family forever and potentially loan on it and get more property. But we were never going to sell that, right? But now I found myself, after the space of the trip and realizing I could live small, that it felt free and liberating. And when I came back to feel that pain and restriction again and burdened by what we owed, we didn't have an awful lot of equity in the place. That and the fact that I could feel something was looming around the corner filled me with dread, really. So that pain brought me to a point where I could let go of this thing that I'd held on so tightly to for so many years, that I must have property. I was able to let it go. And coming back to what Zanda said earlier as well, that faith in yourself from life experiences and knowing that you've done this before. I knew I'd taken a leap of faith before. I'd, bought a one-way ticket and traveled to the UK and spent 10 years and had the best time of my life. So I guess there was that underpinning things as well, that I knew I'm going to make the most of this. It's going to be another exciting adventure to embark on. So I wasn't really losing anything, I guess. I was moving away from the pain and towards more freedom. And that became really obvious to me over the course of the year following our trip. So that when Zanda came back and said, I think we should just sell, it didn't seem like such a crazy idea. I didn't resist it as I may have, months earlier or a year earlier. And we literally just had a conversation. Well, what can we do? And I said, well, look, let's get in a few appraisals and see what it's worth, because I remember you actually flip-flopped as well and decided maybe that wasn't a great idea. And I remember I said to you, let's just get some appraisals. There's nothing to lose, let's just see what some agents thinks it's worth, and then we can make a decision from there. And that was just the first step.
The other thing that was bubbling away was a vulnerability. So because we had such big commitments to maintaining this lifestyle, we're really vulnerable to my job. And if anything changed there, we were going to be out in a difficult place. Yeah. Now, couple that with this anti-vision board picture of what life would be like working until you're 70. to then find enough time to enjoy yourself. It's like, well, that seems crazy. And so what I really love about your book, Jim, if I can bring it back to that for a moment, is so this feeling of vulnerability, this feeling of something happening, and you could sum it up as fear, right? Mm-hmm. Fear of something, and we had no control over that. By making a choice, right? By not mm-hmm. choosing fear, by choosing something else, choosing to take an action, we bring control back to ourselves because we have faith and trust in ourselves. And as soon as Debbie mentioned picking up the phone and calling a real estate agent, right? Mm-hmm. That was a small step to take, but we had control over it, and immediately you feel better about everything, and then you start getting momentum, and your leap of faith, what started off as a leap of faith, starts becoming a really obvious path, and you go, actually, this is really cool now.
So tell me, when understanding that coming to that clarity, that recognizing that fear wasn't going to serve your situation and redirecting your focus, did you find that, because I found over time that each time that it happens, if I allow and I go with the flow of the momentum of that leap, that it takes me to a new place, a place that is filled with serendipity and filled with connection of things that I just, as I was talking about the book, going from that fear-based to that opportunity-based place, where all of a sudden there's all these things flowing to me in a fashion that I'd never experienced before. And I didn't have to, there were doing, but it was all inspired. All the steps were inspired by the feeling and by the things that were showing up in my life, as opposed to, here's my laundry list of how I think I should do this. It was, here's how the universe is unfolding to me, the thing that I desire. Talk about that a little bit, if you would, in your own experience. I'd love to hear your experience with it.
I've got something I really want to share on this. Is it doesn't all unfold miraculously, right? So you, for us, that's the way it was to me. We take the leap, and you feel really good about it, and then something doesn't go quite as you imagined, and I found myself. I think we found ourselves. Then you start going, oh, maybe not. Oh, it's not, and you start doubting that you'd made the leap in the right direction, and then things start closing down. Whether it's the universe or whatever it is, things start closing down and say, okay, well, if you're not playing your part, I'm not going to help you. This is the universe talk. Yeah. And then you relax again. You go, actually, no, it was right. Let's make faith. Another choice. Have some more faith. And then the universe goes, right, you're playing your part. Here you go. Yeah. And it unfolds again. And you go, it takes a few times when then you realize, as you said, Jim, actually should go with it and have the faith and the trust, and then things flow. So I see it, smacks you in the face when you don't do it.
Yeah, and I'm a big one for, I love law of attraction, and I often look and recognize signs, little signs all the time. And for me, it was as simple as, like, the first sign was probably, you know how you get those letters in the mail, real estate agents always will come and appraise your home. Well, you get a bunch of them, and I always throw them away. But I did open one, and it was from a woman, and I really liked the way she wrote the letter, and I actually kept it, and it hung around. So I gave her a call. And when she came around to see me, she stayed for like 3 hours, because she was absolutely in love with the idea of what we were doing. And she was so aligned with it in her own life and what she was doing, that to me, it seemed like she was the logical choice. And as she progressed with the open homes and the sale of our home, she would share our story with people coming through. And would you believe that I don't know how many, can't remember how many people came through the home now, but at least 2 people were boat owners and sailors and were fascinated with our story as well. And one couple actually reached out and said, tell them to call us. And she did. And we were driving back down from the Kapiti coast, and we just thought, well, we'll just call them now, and we'll just see if we can go and see their boat. And we did, and we came and met them, and they were on a Bavaria 46. which is exactly the boat that we're on now. Not their boat, but the exact same type of boat. So for us, it was always moving towards this being on a boat. And we came and looked at their boat and, really sussed it out and realized that was the sort of boat that we were looking for. I think you'd already eyed one up. Even maybe, yeah. We knew we were looking for this kind of boat, so there was a synchronicity. And they were obviously looking at houses, and while ours wasn't the right one for them, they told some friends of theirs who lived on a boat here in Mana Marina about our house, and they went to view the house, and they fell in love with the house, and they were the ones that actually made the offer and put in an offer and bought our house. So we switched lives effectively with a kind of another couple. Like, they moved into our house, we moved onto a boat. And
that's
another beautiful, it's crazy, isn't it? Like, another beautiful synchronicity with that. Oh, what was it? No, I've lost it. Say something, Jim.
It'll come back. I love all of the parts and pieces of what you're talking about, because it's so, I love when we get to have these conversations and see that there are so many parallels in our experiences as human beings, and that those parallels may express a little differently or may show up a little differently because of our individual personalities, but the essence of the experience is the same. The idea of each event strengthening my faith and trust in myself, from being there at 16 and going, I have no clue what I'm doing, but the bigger part of me, some huge part of me, is saying, go, and through my whole life, I've not been able to ignore that call. And as I reflected on all of those places, it was not a matter of, oh, maybe I'll stay here and do this. It was over here, like focus, and to the point of distraction. When the second time it happened was moving out of New York City, thinking I went to New York City to be an actor. I was going to be famous. I was going to be awesome. I was pretty. I was ready. I was good. And I was arrogant as hell. And after a year and a half of that, I realized that I didn't have the skin for it. And the next thing that happened chronologically was a devastation, because I had no purpose anymore. And I wrote a Dear God letter in the wee hours of the morning in April. Dear God, wah, wah, crying all my tears. And but the end of the letter, I finally got all my crap out, and I said, you know what, God, I'm done. I don't care what you do with me. I don't care where you send me. I don't care where I go. Just frickin' do something with me, because I've screwed it up this far. I don't know where I'm going from here. And it was 12 hours later, 12 hours later, I received a call that would end up being the call that moved me to Arizona and changed my life completely. Met the woman that I ended up marrying for 24 years. It was an extraordinary experience, but that feeling of over here, I don't know if over here is the right word, but maybe you guys can talk to what that feeling was.
If I had my time again, I'd love to study anthropology, because I see everything we're talking about. I think that's being human, right? I think we've evolved by taking leaps of faith, right? If the first person that didn't walk out of the cave didn't take a leap of faith to walk out of the cave, right, where would we be? The person that said, hey, I want to go and get that saber-toothed tiger, are you with me, chaps? Or guys and girls. And the first ones that said, no, you're on your own, buddy, and he didn't come back. And then they go, well, we're going to starve unless we all take a leap of faith together and grab our sticks and go and hunt. And I think what we're doing in modern society, we're suppressing that. We're suppressing those human things to go and do something different. You feel alive when you're doing something for the first time, right? And I see we suppress that. And modern life, it makes it all too easy to suppress that. And that's when you go, you stick your dishes in the dishwasher, you push a button, and you come back an hour later and they're done, right? I'm actually enjoying doing dishes, right? Okay, we don't have a dishwasher, but I'm enjoying doing dishes. I found a really nice dishwashing liquid that smells beautiful. And it should be a body wash. But it's pleasure. No, it really does. But you can take pleasure in those things.
Deb, that's definitely a
And I'm
guy
so
thing.
glad we do. I'm so glad we do.
That's fantastic.
We forget to take pleasure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love what you said, Xander, because as I'm looking at the comments, I was putting the comments up on the screen from some of y'all's friends in New Zealand. And the thing that struck me is the realization that we all have that experience at some point. We all humans, unless you're a very rare human who happens to have a clarity of vision from the jump, we all have those moments where we're called, and how many of us don't choose to follow that call because we're afraid, largely, because I've already created this, because I thought this is what I wanted, so I got to stay stuck with this. And this is a really, really excellent point, Zanda, and I appreciate you bringing it up, because it loops back to the complete understanding of why faith and trust is so critical in the understanding of what a leap of faith is. That faith and trust in self allows you to acknowledge that aberration in your energy and to say, what is that? I need to attend to that instead of I need to put that away. You know, similar to as I was sharing the conversation with Michael about moving here to Denver, I had a moment where I had to say, gosh, is this really it? Or am I just going to, are you just being stupid, Jim? Get back to what you were doing and just focus. How could you not want to be in San Diego, California, for crying out loud? How could everybody and their mother wants to live in San Diego, California? You've been there for 10 years. How could you possibly think of leaving? And all I could think was, it's time to go. so trusting that feeling was really important, but I love that you brought that up, because everybody listening needs to understand that we all have that. And as I look at the comments, so many people have jumped on that train. So many people have chosen to avail themselves, and the difference that it's made in their life is astronomical.
And it's like you were saying, Jim, it's not always smooth sailing. So, you know, our property was on the market for how long?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, and we didn't get any offers. We didn't really have a lot of genuine interest, and we found ourselves thinking, are we doing the right thing? And then we'd have some friends and family going, are you sure you want to be doing this? Because it seems very extreme. And we were sure, but there were a few things that, you know, that doubt creeps in, and so but it was at that point we thought, well, we haven't had any offers yet. Let's try and experience living on a boat. Like, who do we know with a boat? Could we lease a boat? Could we lease a boat for a month or a few weeks? Could we, you know, the couple that we said came and looked at our house, could we ask them if we could live on their boat for a little while? And once we started playing with what can we do to get towards that life on a boat, that's when we noticed that the universe picked up again, right? So this is when this very last minute offer came in from these people that had this boat here on the marina. And it was some days, about a week after the open homes had actually closed down. So a lot of people would have thought, oh, that was a waste and that's over and we'll have to put it on the market again next year or something. So it was when we took that step towards, no, this is what we want. This is the future we want, the freedom we want. How else can we achieve it or experience it? That's when the universe came back with, here's your offer.
Yes,
and
it's like we were tested.
It was like we felt tested, and we felt like we passed the test, which was awesome. And what happened is, because this couple didn't have a home currently, they didn't have furniture, and they made a very, very, very good offer, very close to what we were wanting. And when we realized they couldn't stretch any further, but we realized they didn't have any furniture, we said, and we had the whole hassle of having to get rid of a massive house worth of furniture because we didn't have anywhere to put it. And we offered that as part of the chattels, and they accepted. Then it was this beautiful win-win scenario where they were able to move into a fully furnished home and just in time for Christmas. And we were able to walk out of their house with suitcases. It was just phenomenal.
I want to take a quick step back, because you know me in words. I have a thing about words. So you both used the word lesson, and I appreciate the understanding of what that means, but I would encourage a different viewpoint of that, because a lesson presumes that you are being tested And I don't think that's the case ever. I think it's always about alignment. And you so beautifully described it because you fought the alignment for a period. And when you stopped fighting the alignment, everything came on board, everything came together.
Yeah. Sorry, our son's just arrived.
No, I realize that. But I just want to offer that alternative perspective, because there's no point in believing that there is some test we have to pass in order to be successful. We simply have to align with what it is we say we want. And if we don't put our energy there, then how could it possibly come to fruition? Because we haven't put any energy in it. But as soon as we come with energy, that's when, again, opportunity versus fear. That's when the fear is what keeps you from engaging. Hey, he can join in. Hi.
Yeah, this is
How are
Morgan.
you? Hi, Morgan. Nice to see you, bud.
It's Jim.
Hi.
Hi there. To really just, and again, I don't want to belabor it. I just wanted to kind of, again, for the listeners and from my own peace of mind, is to not put that on yourselves. Let it. You did the work. You did the steps. You stepped up, and by virtue of doing that, you created an amazing outcome that came all through you, and then the universe came behind you to uplift you in that. That's how it works. It's not sitting back waiting and going, oh, no, you didn't learn this yet. No. It's saying, we're just waiting for you to line up, buddy. Line up. Yeah. That's all. Oh, cool.
What's the next move? Yeah, exactly.
Line up on aisle 6. Go,
Yeah.
All right, guys, we have a little less than 3 minutes left. So I want to give you guys a minute to whatever you would like to share about your experience as a leap of faith, and what would you want to tell the people watching about how they can step into their own experience of change if they desire it. Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. Look, thank you very much for this opportunity. The more we talk to people about this, the clearer we get in our minds, and the easier it becomes to then share the story. So to me, there's a really big thing. You can have a dream, but a dream without action is frustration. So, and that action is making choices to take action, to do something, not to choose fear, to choose freedom, and but really, really importantly, do something, take an action, and that's what I want to help people do, is get to that point where they can take an action, and it might not be the perfect action, but if you're on a boat, right, and if you're not moving, you can waggle your tiller as much as you like, or you can spin your wheel as much as you like. You're not going to change anything. You're not going to go in a different direction. Once you start moving in a direction, then if you waggle the tiller, things will change.
Yeah.
So it's get that momentum, get that motion, take an action, and then your choices will have meaning and will have impact.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That was a beautiful thing. Thank you both. I'm thrilled that you're both are here, and this has been an awesome conversation. And I hope we get to do it again as you guys continue on your adventure, because I think that you have a lot to share with people, and I think a lot of inspiring to do. Because even what I've seen has been just absolutely awesome. I mean, I see the videos, I see the energy. I love the energy of you two and your family. It's just awesome. And so I appreciate that. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for all of you who dialed in from all over the world to participate with us here in this amazing conversation about taking a leap of faith. Actually, interestingly enough, this podcast was another leap of faith. Believe it or not.
Yeah, it was. It was.
It was. So I feel
and look how well that's gone.
I feel very happy, very blessed, and very fortunate to be here right now with all of you. And I appreciate both of you for bringing so much light and wonderfulness to this conversation and to helping everybody understand more deeply what it's about. www.adventuresintruth, my pleasure, www.adventuresintruth.com to find out more about the show. And also, if you want to work with me or learn more about the book, you can go there as well. Do you guys have a website or anything that you're working on or that you want to share as yet, or shall we leave that for another time?
No, it's not up and running yet, but we are. Our brand is Rock the Boat. So yeah, we're really passionate about helping people rock their boat, and it doesn't literally mean they have to go buy a boat. It's just taking that those first steps towards whatever their dream is, and yeah, just doing something a little bit radical, right? Shaking things up a bit, and moving in the right direction. Yeah. So, but our domain will be rocktheboat.life. But we're just not quite yet. But we're going to have vlogs on there, and you'll be able to tune in and follow our journey as we plan to sail around the country a bit.
Fantastic. Guys, we got to go. I'll see you guys on the other side of the closing.
Okay.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Adventures in Truth podcast. Thank you for joining us. We'd love to connect with you. Please like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. To learn more about Jim's book, Fear is a Choice, Unraveling the Illusion of Our Separation from Love, or to book a session with Jim, you can email us at adventuresintruth@gmail.com, or you can join us on the web at www.adventuresintruth.com. Tune in next time for another great Adventures in Truth podcast.